All right, guys, I'm at a bit of a crossroads with my professional life because just today I shipped off my main heavy lift platform I've been using for Copter Kids, my company, for the past 7 years. And that thing's been through hell and back with us as far as shooting on multiple different features, TV shows, countless commercials, music videos, the whole nine. But in selling that, I am now officially out of the heavy lift world forever, which I'm not sure how I feel about. But yeah, it's weird. It's like I'm getting out of the game, but I'm not. It's just the game has kind of changed thanks to this guy, the DJI Inspire 3. All right, guys, and I'll do the spiel again. I know I've done it in previous videos, but for those of you that don't know me, my name's Trent. I've been flying unmanned aircraft in the film industry for the past 14 years. My first platform was a gasoline-powered RC helicopter with an 800mm rotor span and a camera, like a camcorder, bolted to the front. I have seen the evolution of this industry over the past decade change drastically. And the Inspire 3 is probably the most exciting thing that has happened in that last decade, at least for me. And so this video, I want to give you guys my thoughts and impressions after having used it for a couple weeks. But first, let's kind of talk about what DJI brought to the table with the Inspire 3. So let's just really quickly run through what's new on this Inspire versus the previous generations. And the first big thing is the new camera and gimbal system, the X9. And this is a 8K full frame camera that's capable of shooting RAW up to 75 frames per second in 8K in ProRes RAW or 25 frames per second in Cinema DNG. It also has S&Q or slow and quick modes, so it can shoot up to 120 frames per second in 4K RAW using the entire chip, so there's no crop. It's got dual native ISOs, so it can shoot at either 800 or an ISO of 4000, which makes it super good in low light. It's still got DJI's DL lens mount system. They did, though, add a locking mechanism, I think that's carried over from the Ronin 4D. Now, since it is a DL mount, that does mean all the lenses from the X7, the old DL lenses, will work on this gimbal. Aside from the 16mm, it's just a little too wide, so I think it vignettes or it doesn't clear the full frame chip, which is why DJI came out with a new lens. It's their 18mm f2.8. It's a super clean, crisp, nice looking lens. And it sounds like there are more lenses in the works. They've got a telephoto lens coming, so obviously as we went with a bigger sensor size, everything got a little wider. So what used to be 50mm, which was kind of long on a crop chip, is now not quite as long. So I'm excited for the new telephoto. Also, it has over 14 stops of dynamic range, and it truly is the best camera ever integrated into any sort of drone like this. Now, the next thing they've added is a better FPV camera. Now, this is huge because for anyone that flew the old Inspire, they probably noticed that the FPV camera was not as great as we wished it could have been. The FPV feed to me on this one was like a rough reference to see where you were, but you could not trust it to fly off of it. But look at how much more usable that is, and especially if you click there. I mean, that is completely flyable. They now have a bigger chip, which allows for better low light. It's got a wider field of view, and with DJI's O3 transmission system, you now have like a 15-kilometer range with 1080p. It honestly is a game changer when it comes to these things. We now have a fully usable FPV feed that you can depend on and fly off of. Now, outside of that, from just a form factor, you'll notice that the drone sits in kind of like a crouching position. And that serves two purposes. One is that it gets the gimbal higher off of the ground to just keep it out of harm's way when you're taking off and landing. But the other thing it allows, when the landing gear is lowered like it is right now, you actually get what they're calling tilt boost, which will allow the camera to tilt up to, I think, 80 degrees upward, and you still have full tilt down. So you get almost 180 degrees of tilt range, which is pretty wild. They've also finally integrated folding props similar to the ones you'll find on a Mavic. And then the other thing you'll notice when looking at this thing is it now has a bunch of little cameras on the corner of the legs to help it with its obstacle avoidance system. And again, the obstacle avoidance, at least in the previous Inspire, was nice to have, but I can't say that I ever really trusted it. But now with this one having so many sensors in every direction, at least through the tests I've done, it's been rock solid. It's easy to adjust on the fly if you want to adjust your warning as well as like brake zones, saying how close you want it to get to objects. They fixed all that in the interface, so that part works way better. Now the next huge improvement DJI did with this system is the RC Plus. Now, basically, compared to the clunky systems of the past where you had this big monitor that had external batteries and then you had batteries in your controller and cables running everywhere and all that, they've now integrated a 7-inch high brightness monitor into the controller, and it's done super well. Basically, it's a whole new layout. It's a super well-built design, and like I said, the monitor is super bright so you can see it in daytime, but the controllers also added a bunch more customizable buttons that you can configure to not have to push the touchscreen as much as the other one, so there's a lot of good features there. What's up, dude? I am doing an Inspire review. Nice. You want to come check it out? Sure, I do. This is my friend Jerry. You might have seen him in other videos with me. He's a director and DP in the film world. Dude, what do you think of the Inspire? Now that we've both gotten a chance to play with it a little bit, from an operating standpoint, I'm just talking about the RC Plus.
It's the flight of Count Dracula. The thing can see in the dark better than your eyes. It operates like a real cinema camera now. You can actually make adjustments while flying, like while in a shot. You can change your iris or make those sort of things. You have enough fingers to do it. They really laid it out properly on the remote, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's one thing we noticed right away. The user interface is totally different from previous generations of the Inspire, and they did a really good job of separating the need to know information for the pilot as well as the operator, because previously, like, our whole screen would just be covered with information that you didn't really need. It's always getting in the way, covering up what you're trying to shoot, and they've done a really good job with the interface here. And there's even a button on the back that you can click that kind of clears the whole screen. And from a video standpoint, it almost makes it look like the minimal red layout or an airy, like the Alexa layout.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We should talk about the case. I think we should pull that out. So again, with previous versions of everything I've bought from DJI, I normally end up throwing away whatever the packaging is or whatever they use as a case because it's not that good. This is a whole different beast. Their case, again, when I saw it at the first launch, I didn't think it looked that great, but having now used it a bit, it's like designed super well. The whole thing, like, I mean, a full kit fits in here. 2 controllers, you could set 2 chargers, 12 batteries or 6 flight sets, multiple SSDs, the whole 9. Everything fits in there, and it's really well built, and it feels pretty strong. But
show them how the SSD goes in and out now without.
This is an improvement too. Yeah,
all the batteries out.
Yeah, don't have to take the batteries out.
Bingo.
And no card reader needed.
Oh, the
because
USB-C.
it has USB-C.
That's so sick.
So rad.
And did you talk about how the batteries are hot swappable for real now?
No, I haven't talked about that, but yes, the batteries, they've added different little buttons you can see Jerry's thumbs on, so you can pull just one. Drone's still on right now. Yeah, it's that easy. Way improved. They also include their new charger, which is what the fast charge smart charger that fits right in the lid of the case. And I know that they advertise like charge speeds that are supposed to be like, I haven't even looked at it, I think 90% in 35 minutes.
90% in 35 minutes.
It feels even faster than that. It can hold 8 packs or 4 full sets on there. It's been pretty sweet. It charges fast.
That smart technology you were showing me, that when you put a battery, it figures out who needs the least amount of charge and goes to those first, right?
Yeah, and then they have different modes as far as which balance. So that's the switch on this side that you can choose if it's like the fast charge, the slowest charge, like get me up in the air now, or I've got all night.
Or I've got all night, right.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense. And it just feels good too.
Yeah.
It's not chintzyly made. It's a solid piece of metal, you know, Metal and plastic, but good.
Yeah, that's one thing kind of across the board on this whole new system. Everything feels really well built. It's lost any plasticky feel that there was with the old Inspire. And I mean, we did pull out the Inspire 2 to do some kind of comparison stuff, and I forgot how clunky and all that it was. And you know, the Inspire 2 was a great machine. We used the hell out of it, but it's like 6 or 7 years old now. So it lived its time out very well, but when you fly them next to each other, that's when you realize how much better this is as far as like everything all across. Jerry started to mention it earlier. The control feel, whether you're on the pilot side or the operator side, is way better than previous generations.
It's just more organic. It feels like it's taking the input from your fingers, your hands, and it's really sensing it. And it's not just saying, oh, well, that means go right, go left. It's like, oh no, there's a touch to it. The touch is really nice.
Yes.
And the sensitivity and just the feel, the overall feel of it's really, really good.
Yeah. And one other thing, you know, DJI has been good at adding these fancy flight or operating modes. And in the past, to me, they've always been kind of like novelty. They were kind of like, you know, for
You're
the people
about like Spotlight.
Yeah. So exactly. Spotlight Pro now is really good. It's so weird that these assistive shooting modes used to feel more like restrictive. They kind of pulled you out of what you were doing, but now they truly are assistive. They like complement what you're doing. Because when we were shooting, we were tracking Keaton on the motorcycle the other day up in the hills, and we were on the 50mm lens trying to stay pretty long and close and all that. And you just tapped a box around him, hit C2, and the thing tracks it. And Jerry can still adjust the framing, but it does the big portion of the operating.
Like if you have him in the left third, he'll stay in the left third. But if you're like, no, I want to lead him a little less, or I want to put him more in the center, you just adjust it, and it says, okay, fine, I still got the track, and I'll keep this new framing. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
I might be out of a job.
I mean, to be fair, we both might be out of a job soon, because the other thing that's improved on the Inspire 3 is it's now got dual GPS receivers. So the accuracy of its hover and the capabilities of it just flying nice is better than ever. But now they've added, beyond just the internal receivers or GPS receivers, now they have the RTK, which is real-time kinematics. And basically what that is a ground station. You want to go grab that really quick? It's a ground station that you set up that has a very high accuracy GPS unit that basically stands as its own ground reference point or ground station to talk to the aircraft. So basically it's like a surveying tripod that you get to set up, and this thing talks to the drone, and it changes it from what is normally on the aircraft meter accuracy, meaning within 1 meter or 3 feet is where the accuracy of that GPS is. With the RTK, it goes down to 3 centimeters. I mean, like 3 centimeters range is how tight of an area it can hover in. But basically what the RTK does is it unlocks a bunch of new features that are in the kind of Waypoint Pro feature set on the Inspire 3. So there's 2 different modes within there. The first one being repeatable routes. Now, repeatable routes is effectively like a motion control for the sky. You go up and you set your waypoints, whether you want to just fly through a move and have it auto record waypoints, or you can go and manually set them. It records the position of both the aircraft as well as the camera or the gimbal, and it makes a move that's completely repeatable and automated. And again, with the RTK, it's like centimeter level accuracy. So what that allows you to do is you can plan a flight path and a camera move that you can program and do at different times of the day or different days of the week or the year, and basically have the ability to stitch together shots from total different frames or with total different like substance in it. Basically, as an example, I've got my hangar that we're building behind us, and we have a move that we've set up that at each step along the way, I'm gonna have the camera kind of do this like descending revolve. And at the end, once the hangar's done, I'll be able to stitch all those together that there'll be one camera move revolving the building, and it'll switch between each step of the way. So at the start, there's no building. By the end, the building's finished. So it's a pretty cool feature, and it's something that like I hadn't really ever thought about. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to use it.
Is it flying the move already?
Yeah, it's going.
That and the 3D Dolly are the most insane thing.
Well, let's talk about the 3D Dolly.
Yeah. Did you mention about the David Fincher job we worked on forever? We worked with this amazing director, really talented David Fincher. We shot the first 2 seasons of Mindhunter with him. We did the aerials. And he's classically known for wanting repeatable moves. He doesn't use steady cams because he wants to have it exactly the same so he can tweak the performance with his actors. And we're always flying big shots with him with wind, and he wants the camera at the exact same spot every time. This is going to be the perfect thing for him with the 3D Dolly.
Yeah. He would literally tell me, hey, I need that same thing only 6 inches to the left. And I'm like, I'm manually flying an aircraft in the air. I'm like, there's no reference for 6 inches. And I got what he wanted. Yeah. We knew that the time would come that he would have that kind of technology, but this is finally it. And so what Jerry was talking about with 3D Dolly, that's similar to the repeatable routes in that you can record a flight path and it saves both the aircraft position as well as the camera angle. But instead of just setting a speed ahead of time and having it fly it through at a consistent speed, it allows the pilot to push the aircraft along that flight route at whatever speed they feel like using the pitch control. So imagine that there was like a big track in the sky and you're just pushing it along that.
It's basically you become a dolly grip or a technocrane operator once the move's set. You're just adjusting speed to go with the performance of the actor. If the actor's slower, you slow down. If the actor's faster, you speed up. It's pretty wild.
Basically, we're gonna have her start up past that barn, driving down this road. We're gonna track with that in the background with the hounds and everything. We'll climb to get over the posts behind her, so there'll probably be like a waypoint in here, a climb, wrap to the back. At that point, we push through the barn. Then as she goes through the gate, we're gonna probably swing around the front of her and fly up and away.
Up and away now? Okay.
Yeah. Saving waypoints. I'm gonna go 3D Dolly. Control mode, we're going manual, so you have control of the gimbal, Keaton.
Copy.
Upload flight mission. All right, and 3, 2, 1, action. This whole RTK and the repeatable routes or the Waypoint Pro functions, they're tough for my mind to comprehend, and to some extent it's probably because I've always kind of considered myself a pilot, not a programmer. So it's been something that I've kind of avoided even thinking about, but the time is finally here, the technology is finally here. So it's actually been fun kind of wrapping my head around the potential with this and how it's not replacing the pilot's job, it's just adding another tool to our belt to be able to perform moves like what we just did repeatably, which again, it's just kind of like mind melting. I can't even fully comprehend how much we can use this for, like out in the field for real world, whether it's narrative work, whether you're shooting commercial work. There's just so many times where it could be helpful, and even just having the centimeter level accuracy and good GPS signal if you're in an environment that's got a lot of interference and the drone's getting upset, which I've flown, downtown San Francisco and had GPS issues. Having the RTK is like a game changer. It's so funny too, because this is one of the parts that if I, from the start, I wasn't that interested in the RTK. Now, I think it's like a no-brainer. That is a critical component to make the Inspire 3 as good as it is.
I'm actually impressed at the dynamic range through the barn too.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So overall, it's been an insanely solid platform. I'm like, honestly, pretty blown away by it. It's not without its caveats or slight shortcomings. I don't want to bag on it too bad because, at this point we're getting very nitpicky. And we've had enough time to look through some footage and we can tell you it's good. It's like really good. And the night stuff, insane. This thing is the first flying vampire camera that we've had because previous Inspires were no-go at night. The low light performance was no good. That was always heavy lift. Not anymore. So anyway, guys, that is the update on Copter Kids. That is the update and review from me and Jerry on the Inspire 3. If you're someone that has an Inspire 2 and you're on the fence, if you're doing it for work, you got to do it. It's a game changer. It literally is better than I think I expected. So anyway, guys, I'm excited to see what we can do with this. Can't wait to put it through some real jobs.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. You guys know the drill. Like this video if you do. Subscribe if you haven't. Come be my wingman. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.